Hello, everyone. Andy Jacob here with the DotCom Magazine Entrepreneur Spotlight Series. I have a fine entrepreneur on the show today. You know, so many people reach out to me at the show and they want to know about not only startup entrepreneurs, but startup entrepreneurs that make pivots that lead them to greatness, startup entrepreneurs that are doing something very interesting in a space that they love, and to tell entrepreneurial stories from entrepreneurs that start their business in one aspect, but then change to another aspect. And then by changing, they actually have an open corridor that they're running down doing great things. And Mr. Chaim Sasonkin is on the show today. And Chaim really is a great entrepreneur. He sort of fits the bill of what I just spoke about. He's got a company called Travel CBS. And what I love about his story is he's been able to take something he's done in the travel business, find an open corridor, and then run to daylight in the jet charter service business. So it's super interesting. So he's doing jet charters for clients. Real interesting. I mean, I'm so fascinated in the jet charter space, as everyone knows who watches the show. So I decided to bring Chaim on the show to talk about this because the entrepreneurial journey is great, and what he's doing in the jet charter service space is great. So we've combined them both together. Chaim, welcome to the show today.
Thank you. Welcome.
Chaim, listen, I know it's super cool what you're doing, what you've been able to do with this business of yours by sort of pivoting and changing sort of the focus. But let's pull the lens back to 30,000 feet and tell the viewers what you're doing at Travel CBS and what you're doing with the jet charter service.
Sure. So at Travel CBS, we're a full-on travel company. We cater to the usual travel, the day-to-day travel, from commercial flights to hotels and everything else that you may need while you're traveling. And right now, we've over the past few years, we've been pivoting a little bit more into the private jets space. And it's really grown to high level in the past year, especially through COVID. Over COVID, I mean, even lately, if you're watching the news, you can see that the jet charter industry has spiked like 30-40% in demand. Pricing has gone up. Everything, there's so much demand, and people that are trying to purchase aircrafts or get jet card from these jet card companies, they're trying to buy hours, they're all backlogged. So it's a really good time right now to be in this private jet space because of there's so much demand. So we've gotten into that market, and we're doing really well in that right now.
I love what you've done. So you started off, you were doing a lot of, scheduling for so many important clients in sort of, the commercial air business. And all of a sudden people start reaching out to you and they're, Chaim, listen, we want to start looking at jet charters. And all of a sudden, one thing led to another, some bells started going off in your head and you said to yourself, listen, this looks like it's going to be a very promising space. Let me start putting some infrastructure in place at CBS LLC, the Travel CBS LLC, of course, to sort of be able to provide these jet charter services to my clients. And as more clients started using your service, they heard about, how good you were at it and the type of placements you've been able to put together. Then they start referring more and more people to you. And all of a sudden, Travel CBS is a go-to place for jet charter service. So let's talk about that a little bit. Why has the jet charter service space blown up in a powerful way over the last couple of years?
There's multiple different reasons, and I think a big one is due to COVID. What happened was that once COVID hit, a lot of people stopped traveling, and airlines pulled their schedules, and there wasn't a lot of flights available for many people, and also people were nervous, rightfully so, for health reasons. And what they did was they started reaching out to see how do we travel in a safe way, in a convenient way. Also, there were so many flights, let's say from New York to Florida or New York to Atlanta. Those are big spots for business and for leisure. And they only had a couple flights a day, so people didn't have the schedules that they wanted. So then people started looking into going private jets. And once they figured out that how convenient and easy it was to fly private, once you fly private, you don't go back. It's like once you go to business class for the commercial travelers, it's really hard to go back to economy. So it's the same idea. If you have the money to fly private, you do it once or twice, and it's like, hey, this is so convenient, this is so amazing. You just walk up to the plane. There's no security. There's no anything. So it just creates this this new thing that people are doing, and with more with some businesses that started booming through COVID as well, and more money being pumped into the economy, it just created this big hype in private jet charter, and the demand has gone through the roof.
Yeah, Chaim, it's really interesting what's happening. Like you mentioned, it's so interesting. So you go on a plane, you're flying commercial, you're in coach. And then you get upgraded to business. Well, you never want to go back to coach. And then from business, you get upgraded on an international flight to first class, where there's, lay down beds and everything else. And then you say to yourself, well, I can't go back to business. And I'm definitely not going back to coach. And then, of course, you fly private, and it's a whole different, mode of transportation, because it's just so easy. So let's talk about it. You have clients that reach out to you. They say, Chaim, I need to book a flight. How does it all work? Does it happen where they call you? Does it happen online? Is it some combination thereof? How are you able to give such great service to your clients?
Right. So they'll reach out the same way anyone reaches out for any travel accommodations. It's not over online. I do have a form on the website, but most people will reach out directly over the phone. They'll send an email, or they'll send a text or a WhatsApp. We're very responsive over text and WhatsApp and emails. One of my strong points, where we can probably going to speak about a little later, is a customer service and being available to our clients. Is why people keep coming back to us for the great service, that we're always available and readily, there for them. So they'll send a text or an email and say, hey, I want to go from point A to point B. Let's just say New York to Miami. That's a popular one. What we'll do then is we'll get all the information that they need. We'll see how many people they need, how many people are flying. We'll see what type of plane they want. We'll always, ask for a budget. Not everyone wants to give one, but we can work with that as well. Just to see, there's a lot of people that don't know what it costs to fly private. And then there's people that reach out that want to fly private, but you have to educate them on what the costs are going to be. And then we go ahead and reach out to our operators, our suppliers in the market, and we get quotes very fast. In this industry, it's either you're fast and you make it, or you're slow and you lose the sale. So operators are always responding really, really fast, because they want to get the trips, and in return, we get quotes really fast. So if you ask me right now for a quote, I can get you one in about 5 to 10 minutes. I can get you a whole bunch of options, pricing, and routes. And then we take it from there, and we give the options, and we see if it works for them, if not, and then we dig deeper, and so on and so forth.
I love it, Chaim. And of course, you are known for this world-class customer service. I mean, people can call you, they can WhatsApp you, they can text you. I mean, you give out your private number with your team. Let's say somebody wants to go from New York to Miami, and it's a couple, let's just say. But they say to themselves, listen, Chaim, we don't mind if we share the jet. We don't mind if we maybe are able to offset some of the costs, maybe by having a few other people on the jet. We don't mind if you do that combination thereof. Is that something that you're able to accommodate people with?
Yeah, 100%. We can accommodate that. Not always it works. It really depends on what's available, because a lot of people that fly private, you're spending so much money, they don't care to have anyone else on there. It's not like they need to resell some seats, because they can afford to fly private, and they want to do it themselves or with their family or their friends. But that being said, if you do want to share and you want to buy a seat, for example, so we have resources and groups and networks of other brokers that we're connected to. And a lot of times a broker will be like, hey, I have a plane that's going from New York to Miami today at 1 o'clock. I'm selling seats on it. And I'll be like, sure, I need 2 seats, or vice versa. I'll say, hey, I need 2 seats on this and this flight, on this day from this and this route. And somebody will reply back to me and say, hey, I have a plane going. They don't mind selling a seat or 2. So we have options for those types of people as well.
I love it, Chaim. And it seems like this is really an interconnected kind of a business where people know people, technology, drives it, but at the same time, it's also about who you know and the type of relationships you build, sort of on the end of the jet charters. But where you really shine, where you really have made the commitment, is to your customers and to your clients, and this world-class, almost concierge service that I'll call it, that you give your clients at Travel CBS. So let's talk about that a little bit. Where did that come from? Where did that sort of passion to make sure that you're available for your clients when you need to be available to them come from?
A big part of it is I always, my motto is I like to treat people the way I like to be treated. And I think that when I work with any companies or when I reach out to any service provider, I always want a fast response. If I don't get a fast response, right away I'm like looking for the next person. In this world, everything is instant. So we have to kind of keep up with that. And I see this even in my business. If I don't respond right away, you can lose a sale, especially with commercial travel. People can go online and book it. It's a lot harder with private jets because you can't really book it online. So they kind of still need the broker aspect, and there's a lot more knowledge and information that someone needs than just booking a commercial flight. But even so, you can lose it to another broker. So I put my focus on replying to people right away, even if I'm not going to quote it right now, if it's at night or something like that and it's not urgent, I'll always respond and be like, hey, I got your message. Can we talk about this tomorrow or something of that nature? Just have some sort of communication. I think that's the key importance part of it. And that's really what keeps people coming back. In addition to, knowing how to service them and knowing how to manage, at the end of the day, you have everything can go really well. You can book the flight, they fly, but then there's a lot of times that things don't go well in the sense where it's not even your control. Planes break down, there's maintenance problems, there's weather problems, that can happen. So really where it shines is that where you can step up and problem solve those situations and how to handle those situations. You're going to be dealing with an upset customer, someone that can scream at you and think that it's your fault when it's really not your fault. And you have to know how to kind of dismantle or break down that situation in a very calm and passionate way to what they want to hear. So I think that's where we shine.
Yeah, Chaim, it makes all the sense in the world. Certainly someone that reaches out to you that has either come referred or heard about what you're doing at Travel CBS, through the grapevine, if you will. Of course, when they're traveling, private, when they charter a jet, they expect a level of service that's much better than flying commercial. And that's what you've become known for, because like you said, when it goes great, it goes great. And in the unlikely event that it doesn't go as smooth as we all would like, then, they want a friendly, sort of a reassuring voice on the other end of the phone. And that's something that you're able to do very, very well, which is really remarkable. And you've really built this company by providing that type of experience. You're great, of course, when it goes well, and any entrepreneur is, but really when the rubber hits the road and there's a challenge in a travel experience, or there's a challenge with a jet charter, either not being on time or a maintenance breakdown or something like, and that doesn't happen very much. You're there. You're a calm voice. You're a reassuring voice. You do what's right for your customers. And that's really one of the things that people love doing business with you, Chaim. Now let's talk about the jet charter part of it. If I want to charter a jet, I go online. I mean, it's kind of tough to figure out who's doing what. And you go on, you fill out a form, you don't hear anything. I mean, people that want a jet charter service, they want this personalized experience, I would imagine. So let's talk about that. Why has the jet charter business not been brought sort of to the 21st century? Why do we still have to call people like you to charter a jet versus going online and doing it with a click of a button?
So it's a good question. Booking. Let's backtrack to commercial. When you're booking a commercial flight, it's American Airlines or Delta. It's pretty straightforward. You know what you're getting. You've done it so many times. You book it. You hop on the flight. It's done. There's set schedules for everything. With private jets, there's no set schedules. So every single jet can be in various different places at various different times. So it would be a lot easier to book online if it was a set schedule. And there are some apps out there that do have set schedules, and those are, I mean, they're more expensive, and also they sell seats. There's membership programs and all sorts of stuff like that. And those are the things you can book online. But when you need to book your own private charter and you want to get a good deal and you want to have that personalized service, then you need a broker who can see what's happening in the market. So we see the back end. We see where planes are. We know what position they are. We know where they're coming from. We know where they're going to. And like you said, when you're looking online, you don't know where to go. There's so many, you start Googling private jets, there's a million brokers that come up, a million operators that come up. Who's reliable, who's not? There's good apples, bad apples. How do you filter out and know what's good? So what you want to do is go to someone that you can rely on, like us, like a private jet broker who knows the industry, who knows the good apples to the bad apples. There are some operators out there that may play some games with you, and we shy away from them because you don't want someone double booking a flight because they got a better deal. You want someone that's reliable and that you can work with. There's also safety ratings. You want to make sure that the pilots are and the crew is up to date with their safety ratings and their maintenance. We know what to ask for. We know what to look for. And we can find you the best price based on the positioning. And we also have something called empty legs, where a plane must go from one place to the next, and we can find you those prices, and they're half the price had you book it as a round trip cost. And it's important to have someone that knows all of those things.
I love it, Chaim. It makes all the sense in the world. Now, listen, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here because there's going to be some people watching this show who, many people, only a very small fraction of people fly, jets privately, use a charter service, use a brokerage, use Travel CBS. So they might be saying to themselves, how much does it cost? It's sort of the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Now, I know it varies, but let's just take this leg from New York to Miami. Okay, so for the people watching this show that haven't traveled privately, who are wondering, like, how much does this thing cost? Can you give us a range? I know it's going to be a broad range, whether it's an empty leg or something else, depending on the plane. I mean, they might want a G5. They might want, a 747. So can you give us some idea for the people watching the show what the cost is for a leg?
Yeah, I as you said, there's many different ways to answer that question. The range I'll start with is from $9,000 to $25,000. Okay, and that depends on what size you're going with. You want a light jet? Do you want a mid jet, a super mid, or a heavy jet, or even bigger, as you said? It depends on if they have to go from point A to point B. It depends on if they're coming from, you want from New York to Florida, but the plane is in Ohio. So now it's got to reposition. That's an hour of flying, and that's a few $1,000s right there. So that adds to the cost. Then there's empty legs, where that's where the $9,000 comes in, where if it's a must move or something of that nature. So it really varies. The same plane can cost for the same route 10 different ways, just based on where they're coming from and where they're going to afterwards.
Right. So just to get our arms around it, round trip from New York to Miami, depending on the type of aircraft, for one person, I think you're talking could be $18,000 to $50,000, depending on
yes,
the size of the aircraft, what's included, how fast the plane's going to pick them up, how fast they need it, how fast they want to return, et cetera. What's available. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's correct. You got it on point.
Okay, so this is a great entrepreneurial learning experience, because for the entrepreneurs watching the show, put yourself in the mind's eye of Chaim. He's running Travel CBS. He's become a go-to, broker. A lot of people using him now for the jet charter. He's on speed dial. I'm sure people just call him on his phone and WhatsApp him and text him. But put yourself in his shoes, okay? He's running this business. He has people that for a round trip leg are spending, let's say, between $18,000 and $50,000 to be on a private jet. So imagine if he doesn't step up his game. Imagine if he didn't step it up in terms of rapid response. Imagine if someone texts him at 8 o'clock in the evening on a Wednesday, and he doesn't get back till them on Friday morning. Imagine what happens to his business if that type of rapid response doesn't happen for the types of people that are going to be very demanding spending that kind of money. So that's really a testament to what Chaim is doing, but also for the entrepreneurs watching the show. Can you imagine if you had that same type of commitment to all of your customers, regardless if they were spending $18,000 to $50,000, maybe they're just spending $50 with you or $100 or $199. If you could take that same mindset that Chaim has to personal and customer service, no matter what price point you're at, that's a winning combination for your business. So Chaim, I want to talk to you about your entrepreneurial journey because you started off with Travel CBS. All of a sudden, you kind of heard rumblings that this jet charter business was going to be big. Some people reached out to you. You had this aha moment. I'm going to become the go-to guy for jet charter service. And all of a sudden, now your business just exploding. Everybody's trying to get, a piece of your time to help them put together their charter. So let's talk about entrepreneurship. We have entrepreneurs watching the show. Maybe they're hitting a roadblock. Maybe they're hitting a brick wall. Maybe they're hitting a pothole in the road. And maybe they freeze. Maybe they're entrepreneurs that just don't know what to do in a tough time. So maybe you could share some wisdom to other entrepreneurs about the journey you've had and what you did when things got tough for you.
So, like you explained it pretty well in terms of the mindset to have for these type of customers. And the way I run my business in all aspects is that I'll always give that type of customer service level, whether you're spending $50 or $100 or $18,000 and $50,000, and that's what keeps the customers coming back. The service level is very important, and people want to feel like they're the only one, even though they're not the only one, and you have so much going on. With this whole journey, it started off like a hobby. This whole, 10, 11 years ago, started off just me helping family, and I think that what I like to do is I like to help people. So it's not even, I less focus on the profit of every single sale, and I like to problem solve. That's what I do all day. I like to help people. I like when people have a good experience. So when you have that mindset and not focused on being aggressive on making an extra buck, people see that and people value that and people realize that, and then they come back. So I start off, with this journey as helping people, not even making money, friends, family, just, knowing how to navigate that world of flights and travel, because I love traveling. I was in like 25 countries before I was 21 years old, and I traveled the world. So I knew a little bit about traveling, and it kind of turned into, one thing led to the next. It turned into me becoming a travel agent and running this travel company. And as it grew, we had to hire more people, and we started, we had a team in place, and all that, started folding into place. As that goes on, you start getting introduced to people that are spending a lot of money and more luxury kind of trips. And, we don't even advertise. We're all word of mouth. So it's amazing how the type of service that you give people and people come back just from that. And I think a very important part of what people understand and see is being honest, listening to the client, and people, even if they don't like the honesty, when they see that you're honest, that really is a million words, and they come back for that. So we got into the private jet business. We dabbled into that, and then, over COVID and a little bit before, we really opened our eyes to a whole other world of the private jet industry. We got connected with operators, and we didn't even speak about this, but in this industry, in this private jet industry, I've connected and teamed up with an operator, so we have like direct access to a fleet of planes that we can help our customers with, and we see that whole side of the operator, not only as a broker. So we know what goes on both ends, and we believe in this so much that I actually am in talks right now. We're in the middle of purchasing an aircraft as well. so we can have that and charter it out. So I think it's really going in that direction where it's getting really big, and I think that's an important thing for entrepreneurs to understand, how to retain the clients and get new clients by keeping that positive attitude and keeping that honesty, not being aggressive, and just trying to help people and make them have a good experience.
I love it, Chaim. It's so awesome what you've been able to do. You're building it. You're looking at even purchasing aircrafts now. I'm going to have to bring you back on the show when Travel CBS, has aircrafts under its umbrella. It's going to be amazing. So this is going to be awesome. Listen, that was a great sort of Harvard MBA you just gave. So for the people watching the show, rewind what Chaim just said about the journey. And the thing that's important is, Chaim said earlier in the show, he tries to treat every single person the way that he would like to be treated. And it's just a beautiful way. It resonates for me, and it's going to resonate for so many other entrepreneurs watching the show. Chaim, this is absolutely awesome. Of course, if you want to, charter a jet, reach out to Chaim. He's available. You can find him. We'll put the links under the interview, of course. Travel CBS, soon to be Travel CBS with their own aircraft. So that's absolutely awesome. Chaim, this has been a great interview. I'm so happy to sort of share your journey with the audience. It's been remarkable. Thank you so much for coming on the Entrepreneur Spotlight Series. I waited for the show for a number of weeks, and to have you on is a real honor.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here, and thank you for taking the time.